guys, my name is Anita Eboigbe. I am the creator of Zikoko Life, the series, and I'm going to have a very engaging conversation today with some of the writers and directors of the series, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with you.
Hi, hello, my name is Dika Ofoma, and I'm a writer and director, and I worked on the Zikoko Life Series.
I love it.
What was funny?
No, it was the way, but then Olamide, please go.
Yeah, my name is Olamide Adio. I am a writer, director as well, and I worked on this project too.
My name is Victor Daniel. I'm a writer, director, and a lawyer.
Sometimes.
Accidental lawyer.
Yeah, kind of. And I worked on this project.
Hi, my name is Uzoamaka Power, and I'm a writer-director on the project.
You can tell
Yeah, she's also an actress.
Yeah, you can tell she's an actress.
You can tell that from all of us. Like, she's the only one who feels comfortable in this place.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so.
I found the camera as well.
Yeah, she's like, where? But okay, like I think I'm going to introduce each of your films since you refused to do it. Yeah.
We're supposed to.
But Dika Ofoma wrote and directed Something Sweet, which he tried to shoehorn into a line of the film. And Something Sweet stars Michelle Dede and Ogranya as Leke.
As Leke, yeah.
So,
Michelle Dede as Ziora.
What's Something
Ogranya,
Sweet?
What Something Sweet is about?
what's
Something
about?
Sweet is a romance about, I think it's an intergenerational romance, I think.
You wrote it.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm asking because, I was trying to be sure if they're of the same generation and it's just like a white age
No,
gap.
one. I think she's in her 40s.
Yes.
So she's a millennial, an older millennial.
An older millennial.
And then
and the sort of pushback, is it pushback or some of the difficulties they had to navigate to keep their relationship, to sustain it. And it stars Michelle Dede as Ziora, Ogranya as Leke. It also features Tolu Wumi as Mommy Leke and Ola Dozier as Jidenna. And then finally we have Coin as
Eros?
Yeah, Coin as Odera. Yeah.
yeah, how does a 28-year-old fall in love with a 42-year-old woman?
And he meets her, he finds her attractive, and then he gets to know her, and love happens. Very simple. Simply, yeah.
Do you guys agree that love is that simple? Like, does love almost always feel that simple? You are married, you have a child.
Yeah. I mean, yes, actually, in fact, I find that humans refuse to accept how simple love is. It's actually really, really simple in very different contexts. Like, even while you are in an active commitment, it is actually possible for you to fall in love with someone else. As simple as that. Like, it is. I'm just saying.
Is it love or is it like a continued familiarity that happens? Because I'm asking this because I've seen the film clearly, and at some point I'm wondering, was it a case where it was a star-crossed lovers and if they were not together, this wouldn't happen, versus a situation where they just had spent so much time in close proximity and they just had to fall in love?
I think with Leke it was instant. When the first time he sees Ziora, I don't know if I should say it wasn't. I wouldn't say love at first sight, but of course he was attracted to her. That is sure, and that was established in it. And then I think getting to know her is then what like allowed the love, the feelings to grow and for love to happen. And with Ziora, then I would say, because of the way because of her character, she's a divorcee. She's a mother. She wouldn't. I mean, she might find him. Oh, he's a cute guy, but she wouldn't find him attractive in that way to want to pursue him. But I think with spending time with him, getting to know him, and also also like I don't know, is it proper to mention the adapted from? So like also like having the story this was adapted from, and what she was drawn to his intelligence, and I think that happens with like getting to know the person, and that was the situation. But with Ziara it was instant, and it happens a lot. I would like to think that we all there are people older than us that we even as children. When we're kids, our crushes were...
You're going too far. It's okay.
I'm going too far? Okay.
Come, relax. You're going too far. I think I'm just going to use that to segue into Olamide and Victor. This is your second time directing together. I still don't understand how that works, but I love your film. How does someone direct with another person?
We haven't introduced the film.
Yeah, I will come to your film, but like, how does one direct it?
I think it's a bit like love as well. It's simple.
Wow. A bit like love as well. I love it.
I've known Victor for about a decade now. We met on the writers group, Wallflowers. Shout out, I suppose. So we met on the writers group, and we used to share work at the time. And I think we then went on separate paths to develop as individuals and as writers too. So we sort of came back together recently. And we realized that on that individual part, we developed similar sensibilities. And creatively, Victor completes my sentences.
You agree that you complete your sentence?
I said creatively.
Does he complete your world?
So yes, well, typically when we are talking about stories, like he just says, don't you think we should do like this? And while he just saying, I was like, yes, then I'll just complete, like, take it to the end. I'm like, yes, that's where I was going to. So
he wasn't exaggerating.
No, he wasn't. That's how it worked. And yes, so of course, when it gets to the actual work, we sort of divide it between ourselves. Okay, you face this side while I face this side. So that's how it works practically. But the fun part is when we are developing the ideas and we've watched like similar types of films. So we just started making references. Let's use this film and let's use this film, and then so it just works very seamlessly. Very similar.
But you wrote the film.
Yeah.
It's called What's Left of Us, and it follows a northern couple. So you have Mariam, who is the lead character, and she decides not to have children. What rights does a man have to write that kind of story?
Well, because as a man who is married, the matter of children is something that happens between husband and wife. And as a man who is married, it means I've had that sort of conversation with my wife about how much children should a couple have. Personally, I feel like because it's the woman's body who is put through the process of childbirth, I feel like she should have a higher stake in the decision of how many children a person. Before I even got married, there was the way I thought about childbirth is that when people are talking about how many children they should have, the person that wants the least children should be the one who has the person who wants it, because naturally both of you are taking care of the children. There's a toe there. So if one wants 5 children and one says I can only do 3 children, I feel like let's just put it at 3 children, because the extra 2 is like extra work for someone who really didn't want to do the work. But now in the context of childbirth itself, it is the wife who, between me and my wife, we talked about how many children we're going to have. We had different numbers, but I deferred to her number because I saw the strain of pregnancy on her, and I feel like it's just going to be very immoral of me to not let her have the final decision. So that's the general, even before this film, that's how I had thought about it.
But then you go ahead and write a character who is very much not that way. So how do you engineer your mind to write that sort of character? And by the way, if you can give a little context about the tussle between Aliu and Mariam when it came to this issue.
Yeah, so I find out that this, what I just said, this opinion I just expressed, is something I had expressed online, and I saw the violent antagonism from men. So I now understand that we're in a society where men don't think this way. You know, the way marriage works is that a lot of men think the power dynamics lies on the person who has economic power. And then, because a lot of times men are the ones who provide, the man says, if I can take care of 20 children, then, and I want 20 children, then I should have 20 children. That's how men think. A lot of men think.
Yeah.
And it was from this perspective I saw it, like, because we wanted the film to touch on two things, body autonomy and then the economic disparity, the balance of power in a marriage, the unfair advantage that men have in marriage just because they have the economic power while minimizing the labor of the woman who works at home. So this man feels like, one, I'm the man and I have the power because I am the one who provides, and then two, whatever I say should happen. So that's how I know the existence of these things. I have been with family who say my wife cannot do family planning without my consent because I am the one who decides how many children. So yeah, like I'm a man writing about something that affects women a lot. So I cannot write the man to be someone who thinks like me because I'm in the minority of how men think. So I was wondering, how would a typical Nigerian man from that part of the country treat a subject like this? And that was how.
Yeah, Uzoamaka, your people don't even get to the point of how many children because they could not have sex in the first place.
Wow.
But like, how do you put together that? And I feel like you have chemistry with everybody, but like particularly with Andrew, you wrote, you directed, you starred in the film. How does that come together for something like My Body, which is the title of your film?
First of all, writing it was an experience. I loved writing this.
Oh, I know.
I really enjoyed writing it. I enjoyed the process, the whole getting feedback and just like going back and forth and rewriting and all of that. I enjoyed doing that. And I loved the story when I read the article that it came from, that it was adapted from. It was just this girl who wanted to get married so that she could have sex. And that was it. And I was just drawn to her for some reason. I wondered what life would be like if she then got married and it didn't happen for her, because in the article it happened differently. But I just wanted to explore a reality where, you know, this thing that she had been dreaming of then didn't happen for her. And I wanted to see what that would look like in a relationship, in a marriage. And then came casting. And it was a whole lot trying to find somebody who worked for the role of Zion. And we eventually cast Andrew Bunting, who's perfect, who's just an amazing, amazing actor. And I'm so thankful that he's the one that I got to do it with. Then shooting and being the actor and being the director was tiresome. I do not recommend it. Highly do not recommend it, but I had a lot of support from my people. There was the showrunner / producer, Blessing Uzi, and Dika Ofoma. You were on set every now and then.
That's a cameo, by the way, guys.
I was on set every now and then, and then you were on set as well, and just letting me know that I was doing the right thing.
We were on set.
Were you?
When?
We were. When you shot
when I did it in Ibadan. Oh, yes, that's true. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, when I was shooting in Ibadan, I couldn't see.
I was patiently waiting for you to explain the writer-director bits and how you manage that.
I couldn't. I wasn't seeing anything.
Yeah,
exactly. It was crazy.
Exactly.
It was insane. But then it's also, again, doing your homework, per se, before showing up on set is so, like, pre-production is so important, and knowing the kind of story that you want to tell. I knew the kind of story that I wanted to tell, I knew what I wanted it to look like. And I had conversations with the cinematographer, Mohammed Atta. And we talked it over, and I explained to him what the vision was, and he understood me. And so, to an extent, it was seamless in, bringing that to life. But it was chaotic being in front of the camera and behind the camera. But also, when you hire an actor, when you get an actor who wants to do the job, who loves the role that they're playing, who loves the story, then it's, a large chunk of the job is done, because they're not fussing, they get it, and they want to be in it with you. And so the chemistry is easy, because I'm not worrying about him and what's in his head and what he's thinking and if he even wants to be here. Yeah. I saw 100% that he wanted to be there.
We also.
Yeah. He wanted to, and I just, I worked off of his energy as well, because when somebody is 100% in it, it rubs off on you. And so I saw the love that he brought into the scenes. I saw the way that he looked at me, and I loved looking at him as well. So it was just easy to get into. Yes.
So I want to ask, for the role, since you wrote and you played one of the leads.
Yes.
So when you write,
yes,
you add things to the material.
Yes.
And then as an actor, you have to add other things. Yes. So I want to know the things
where the balance
where you, and then as a director as well, it's almost like trifecta here. So what are the things that you felt you added and to better the material?
So like I think for everything that I haven't had a different experience where it's like I'm writing something that's completely outside of myself. So every time that I write something, there are bits and pieces of me in the work. With My Body, God's Temple, it was, I think, the way that I wanted intimacy to go. Because there was the pressure of wanting to add a little bit of melodrama, where they'll have this like fiery back and forth, and then resolve. I wanted to do that, but I also had to ask myself why I wanted that, and if it was that important to the story, if it did anything for the story. And so that was me as a writer, now writing something that I wanted to see in real life. So I wanted to see a beautiful couple who were in love, being in conflict and resolving it without resorting to the extremes where they insult each other or shout or whatever. And then so that can build what's it called? What's the tension? That can do something. It does something sometimes when you watch it. But then I don't know that I wanted that for myself. And then when as an actor, what I added from myself was also, again, the way that I wanted to look at somebody that I loved, and the way that I wanted somebody who I loved to look at me. So because it was a lot of work being there as a writer, director, actor, I had to lean into myself a lot, and also lean into, again, which is why getting the right person is so important. I had to lean into the person that I was working with. So it's a lot of, there was a time on set when I said to Andrew, there's a garden scene, right? And we were sitting and we were waiting for Mohammed to sort out something with the camera. And I said to him, because in the scene, I wasn't supposed to touch him at all. And then I said to him, what does Zion want in this scene? What do you want? And we were just having the conversation. And he said, should I be honest with you? I'm like, yes, be honest with me. What do you want? And he said, I want to be touched by you. And that moved me. And so in that moment, yes, the director does not want physical contact, but this person is just honest in this scene and saying what they want. And I made the call to, touch him. And I loved that I made that decision. So it's about communication, trusting that you know the story, trusting that the person that you're playing with understands what they're doing and is as invested as you are, and and believing that you know what you're doing.
Which then brings me to Dika, because this film, you've written romance before, so you said. Because
allegedly.
I look at your work and I don't know that the first thing that will come to mind for me is that you've written romance. I think you write about life, and I've told you this before, and your films almost feel like someone has taken, almost feel like a documentary of some sort. Like we are in this Dika documentary series, and this is what Dika has decided to show everybody today. But Something Sweet is so tonally different in the sweetness of it. It's almost like too sugary for what we've come to know Dika to do. And so what was the difference in approach with that?
I think the difference in approach for this was to, was also to like look at their story like honestly, because it's a story about a man chasing a woman, like
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah. And so it had to have, the cheesy lines. It had to be corny sometimes. We needed to feel like the excitement of like being in love and falling in love with someone. Of course, we introduced the conflict a little early, but like in moments where they weren't considering what people thought of their relationship and the problems in between, it needed to feel like these people were in love, or at least attracted to each other. And so that is what this was. But also I think I had to lean into it more. I had, with the ending, it's like, with endings,
it's such a sugary ending.
Yeah, because, and I'm saying thank you for it, because there was a note you gave to me.
Yeah.
Towards the end, where it ended differently than what was written. Yeah, I'm trying not to, spoil, but it ended differently from what was written. But I think because I'm someone who's like keen on like endings that are like open or not fully conclusive. A part of me was leaning to that more. But I think for the genre that this was, I think this is more of a romance comedy than even like a romance drama. Yes, yeah. It's not very comedic, but I feel like it falls into that more. And it ended in the way that it should. And I think that was one of the difficulties I was having with like writing it. Even with writing, I knew that there was a part of me that that was struggling with a conclusive ending.
Like a nice like blank brackets to close the story. Yeah.
So I did struggle with that, and the ending then worked, and it's it stands to your note even while on set, like why are we resisting?
Why are we resisting the romance? I think that's what I asked you. I'm like, what is it about two people just ending happy that you really have something against?
And so with that in mind, it then changed even in the way I directed that scene. And the way the scene was directed, it's not very different from what was written. And it was because in the script, Zara was a lot more resistant.
That's cute and has like some laughs, which Olamide and Victor, you cannot relate to, because there was nothing comedic in what you did, not a thing. I felt like I was on the edge of my seat from beginning to end, and I was holding my breath. And the way you ended the film, I never got the chance to exhale. And how... which one of you wants to go first?
So Olamide has something about full stops and ellipses.
This was definitely an ellipsis.
So we have a way we look at story, and I tell him that I think that stories have full stop ending and ellipsis ending. So when a film ends on a full stop, the note is conclusive. When it's an ellipsis, it's open, and we usually lean towards that ending. And when you say you feel that tension, the tension is secondary. The character, the woman now, she's in that marriage, and I think that ending is the first time she finally exhales. First time she finally says, I've arrived, I have a voice, and it's claiming autonomy of sorts. It's the first time she really claimed autonomy, and the way we approached blocking that scene when we spoke with the actors, the scene's divided into three bits. So the first bit is in the dining room. The second bit is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the third bit is in the final
Dining, yeah.
So we just told them, imagine it's a fight. So you're in the boxing ring, and there are 3 rounds. The first round is in the dining room. The second round is in the kitchen. The third round is back in the dining room, and this person wins this round. This person wins this round, and this person wins this round. And we just give them that base information, and excellent actors, Killer Band.
Oh my God, yes.
They maximize the
yes. The thing, I'm trying so hard not to give a spoiler, but like the activity she's doing in the kitchen, as he's speaking, and the way that you can see her movements just around him, almost like claiming her own space, as like this person has decided to take space here, and she's like, I'm just going to create my own path and leave you and do the thing I'm doing. And it's so aggressive. And it's very on brand for when a lot of us are upset. You really just find that one thing that you are doing just for the sake of
focus
so much on it, just for the sake of it.
So to add, it is that cinema self-references. So we took a lot of inspiration from films that have similar tension. Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage, Sam Mendes' Revolutionary Road, Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story. So they have specific scene where the conflict comes to a head, and it's 2 characters mapping spaces and trying to express their points. It's almost like a boxing. So that's the
boxing ring analogy.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the beginning of the film, you see the way the film starts in terms of power balance shifting. The film starts with the man at the peak of his powers. With what he does, he was exerting his power as a man, into the marriage right from the beginning. And then we wanted to conclude the film in a way where, when you push somebody to the wall, you start fighting back. So at the end of the day, from the beginning of the film, the man is the one who is like at the prime of his powers, and then wanted to end the film in a way where the woman is just rising. Rising. I'm trying to.
Yeah, but I did see that, and like that is also one of those things that is very clear. You can almost feel him. Coming to size. I wanted to say shrinking, but the whole point is not to shrink. It's really coming to size and then coming to terms with whatever he was oblivious to, like when the film started, which is interesting, particularly the kitchen scene. Dika, you have a kitchen scene that also does that pivotal. We loved kitchens in this iteration where almost like, and then where he had to say we're not fighting each other.
Yeah, we're in a conflict. We don't hate each other. Yeah. Let's not say things that we can't take back.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Yes.
I love that scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
So your own kitchen scene was the man trying to basically make his case. Because he was making a case.
Yeah.
But it was one of the most quiet versions of a man making a case I have ever seen. Why?
I think because of what even like precedes that moment is how it's the first time, it's the first time they're having a conversation fully outside of work. And it's the first time she's, opening up to him. And she gets like vulnerable in that scene. And I think in the way what he does in that scene is almost as though to, kind of like reassure her that, all of this in the past now. And I'm here now, I'm committed to us. Basically, that's what he was doing. And so when he comes closer, when he offers her a tissue, rubs her arm, and there was something in that scene that we took out that because a lot of sometimes you discover things while on set. You write, and then you watch how it is performed and how the actors are with those characters and how they're playing those characters, and you see, okay, this doesn't work here, let's move it away. And so just like the ending, like the ending bit of that scene, it's is the scene where it's the first time we see Ziora look at Leke and the way Leke has been looking at her all the while in this film, and so he needed to prompt it in a way. He needed to be sort of to be in a position where we need to see why she would allow him come this close to her now, and what it is he does in that scene. In that scene, he's mostly silent, listening to her, and then up until
very on brand, not on brand for Nigerian men. So
yeah, but like we
what did you consider like the nuances of this is a Lagos couple? The Lagos dating scene is not great. Does this almost feel too aspirational for?
But that's the point. Romance is aspirational, and what we do is sometimes with like characters, like I hear you guys when you say that, like, you know, my films are close to reality. It feels like documentaries, but you know, sometimes we can imagine differently, and so I think what I was doing in this thing is to and not to say that these men do not exist. They do exist, but it's then
Victor is here, Olamide
exactly.
here. You know,
is to imagine, you know, different kind of Lagos man, a different kind of Nigerian man who is fully committed, who's a Yena, and you know,
yeah, but like the Yena in chief. Is Zion.
Actually.
The Yena in chief is Zion, right? Were you worried that people were going to think he was too patient? And I asked this with a caveat because I think that when it comes to a woman's body, there's nothing like being too patient.
Yes.
But still, we had moments where I think his frustrations were very visible.
Yes.
Extremely. In fact, in one scene, too visible. That we were like, okay, we get it now. Why is she upset? And we're all upset with the character for being upset, with Omasilu's character for being upset.
I wasn't.
In that one scene.
Oh, what scene was it?
I know
the bathroom.
Yeah, the bathroom scene. I wasn't.
Oh.
I wasn't.
Why?
I wasn't obsessed with her. I would understand her.
I didn't understand her.
Really?
Why was she upset?
Because this is something that she struggles with.
But this is also a very patient man. And that's the initial question I wanted to ask. Is there any part of you that's worried that people will think there wasn't a lot of appreciation for how patient his character is?
No. He knew that he was marrying a person who had not had sex before. And he knew that he was marrying a person who was spiritual and who God was important to. And so he knew what he was getting into. I'm not saying that he deserved whatever, but this is where we are, and it's not a surprise to him. But I also just wanted to explore a relationship where there was patience and there was love, and even in conflict, you could always feel the love.
Victor and Olamide, let's chat again.
Because again, I see on social media where people discuss consent, and it's bizarre the things that people think are all right just because we have marriage, just because two people are in a relationship and they've signed the contract. It's ridiculous. And I wanted to explore consent in that way, with love, with patience, where it's like just because you're married to someone does not give you authority over their body, and just because they're in this situation where they're unable to have sex does not mean that you have the right to take it. Because I saw something that blew my mind online where it's like, you know, if your husband wants it, you can just lay down and let him be on top and let him do his thing.
That's like a classic Nigerianism.
Yeah, even if you don't want it, just let him lay there. And I just wanted to show something else. I wanted people to see an alternative, because I think like when people scroll, you have no idea when you scroll and scroll and scroll and see all these things, and it looks like that's the only option, that's the only thing that people experience. So I wanted to show a reality that's possible, where a man is devoted to somebody, loves him, and is patient. Finds alternatives to help himself, and also a place where she reacts to this thing that he's doing, even if people don't agree with it, she's a human being. And so she feels like this is the thing that I'm unable to do, and look at you here, just helping yourself and moving on, per se, from me. So she feels alienated to an extent, and so she reacts to that. And
was that why you?
Yeah,
that's why you support the reaction.
That's why I was supporting the reaction, because really, I think this is about not having sex yet.
Yes.
But there are people who are dissatisfied with their sex life, with with their partner, and sometimes they weaponize it.
So like, if we zone out a bit, right, and we then look at each of these films, the people in them, but also because they exist in like different universes, one of the running themes is that your people have reference groups. So Aliyu has his friend who just doesn't understand why he went to mess up his life this way, right? Omasilu has a tribe of girls that are in their own way trying to figure out, okay, how do we help this person? And she starts off not being honest with them in the first place and figuring out working her way to the honesty, right? And in Zira's case, it's a bit different, because everybody who is her reference, a member of her reference group, is very judgmental.
But one person.
Who?
Yeah, and I think I've said this before. We shouldn't ignore the sales girl, Odara. She's their Cupid. Their Cupid. I'm in love with her, and that's how I see her.
Yes.
I think of her as the reason they met.
Yes.
And part of like why they remain together.
Yes.
Because when we meet them, it's that delay, that not being able to like sort out, in the way the universe works on whatever, that not able to sort out Laker's demand, and then Zira steps in.
Yes.
And I think if she had maybe, if she had done something differently, they might not have ended up together. If Laker had come in and he was able to sort out Laker's issues and he stepped out, and that would not have had like a romantic story. Yes. That's one. And then in the ending, she does say, we see her excitement, but then she does say to Laker, good luck. And I want to believe that her good luck did something. That Zira has, up until that point, every other person who's been aware of their relationship has been, it's just been antagonistic to it. And this is the first person who's excited for them and rooting for them. And I want to imagine that
that glimmer of support made something.
That's some support as well. And so that's how I think of. That's how I think of.
Even the way that Zira reacts to her,
the good luck.
To what's her name?
Odera.
Yeah.
It's so it's like when somebody says you're beautiful, and you're like, oh, stop it.
Yes.
But you know.
Yeah.
And so like she's also just like, thank you.
Because Odera does give them room.
Yeah.
Because Odera is there and she takes the initiative and she says to them, Zira, I'll see you next week. And Zira agrees and like how you react. And then she says the good luck thing. And so.
Even when she says, what did you say?
Yeah.
Well, like you can tell that she and she's like, oh, somebody who, again, and thank you for bringing that up, because Odera is also around Lake's age.
Yes.
And to have that like extension of support from somebody who originally would be the most vehement, like this is a fine boy that walked into here. He should be for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
that's really fun. Like beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's
love it.
Odera, thank you.
But you have what's his name? Ali's friend, Ibrahim, who really is just like, okay, explain to me like I'm 5-year-old, like why would you do this? And you have Mariam's sister. The beautiful thing about Mariam's sister is that she's almost, and I do want to hear, since you're the writer and like the directors, she moves the plot for us almost like a background character, but she really becomes like the vehicle through which there is the conversation between Aliyu and Mariam starts. the inclusion of the children in a lot of the processes, the idea that Mariam can then begin to come into her own and getting that permission, given the socioeconomic factors that they have. And so how would you both describe these reference individuals?
I like the idea of Miriam's sister because we're looking at her as someone.
Do we ever know her name?
I know her name. but if people will never know.
I love characters without names. Yeah.
Anyway, for the purpose of reference, her name is Hawa on the screen. So we looked at her as someone who was quite older than Miriam, not 1 or 2 years older, like
significantly
older. And then this person has a responsibility. So we never get to see their parents. So it's a fair assumption that they don't have parents. So this person has a responsibility to her sister as my sister. But then look at the way Nigerians don't like broken marriages. Generally, broken marriages. In fact, the way Nigerians will try to, even the ones who are like very advanced thinking, they will try to protect a marriage as long as physical violence is not
happening.
Yeah. So we see her as someone who was looking for her sister in 2 ways. She wants her sister to have a more options, like she was looking for her sister as an individual, and at the same time she sort of still wants the marriage
to work,
but not in a way that is detrimental, of course, to the sister. And that's why when the sister tells her that I'm trying to change my life in this way that will give me a little more leverage and power, she supports her, but at the same time she asks, what about your husband? And then when the husband comes to apologize, she's like bridge maker. It's not like
and you can see her contempt on her face. See, guys, all of you, the actors you put in this, including you, very fascinating and very strong actors. Like you can see Hawa's content when Aliyu comes for the first time, looking like there's a look of disgust, like as to she doesn't understand why a person would behave like this. But you know what? Bring the children.
Yeah. Because we're joking like at the end of the day, I like my sister, but let her get out of my house. I love you and I want the best for you, but can you just go and meet your husband too? Like you've been here for a while. Like I'll support you to give you more power and autonomy in your marriage, but work things out with you. So that was the kind of. So we're looking for a traditional Nigerian woman who is not. Of course, we have those who are like plain assholes who will support patriarchy at the detriment of their own blood, but we're looking for a character who still retains the typical Nigerian value of marriage, in the way that Nigerians love marriage, while at the same time looking out for her, for her sister. That was the kind of character we made her.
Yeah, I really like that because, and Junet, the thing you mentioned about patriarchy and when they're writing our characters is, it's sometimes when there's this like temptation because we hold some ideologies, we write them as ideals instead of like people, like real humans, and we sort of like really need to understand that some of like the most progressive views we have, it's really like really like we are outliers in a way, and like a really small group of Nigerians who think that way, and then it doesn't mean that that like every other Nigerian is at the extreme when it comes to like these views. It's that like it's the thing about being human and being complex, and even when we contradict each other sometimes in our views. And yes, I like that she's looking out for the sister, but also she sort of like, because you can't deny religion, you can't deny the society that she's born in, and how we value the institution of marriage here, and so like. Just like remembering, because it's so easy, and I say this to myself because I'm somebody who spends quite a lot of time on Twitter, and with writing it's like to careful not to write people because like when you go on Twitter it's like people
so extreme. There's no moderate.
And so it's to remember that those are tweets. Often they are tweets, because when you interrogate these people's real lives, it's not it's progressive or as no, or it's a lot more nuanced, and so it's remember that when writing writing characters that are humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they don't.
And
end up sounding like
that then
tweets.
brings me to Omasilu's girls, because I think one of the most beautiful things about her friends is that they are all very unique, different people, even in their styles and the way that they express themselves.
Yeah.
How does a church girl end up with this kind of people?
Yes, I wanted to write a character that was religious, but not in the stereotypical ways that we tend to box people in our society. So I wanted a girl who loved God, went to God at every little thing, including sex, wanted to have sex, loved her husband, and was in a friends group that wasn't religious. Because again, like Dika said, we are more nuanced than just the one thing. We're multifaceted people.
Well, I do want to switch gears a little bit to talk about the reference groups of a filmmaker.
Yeah.
When you're making a film. Film feels to me like the most collaborative thing in the world.
Yeah.
Where if you have 15 people working on something and 10 people come correct, 5 people don't come correct, the film falls to the level of the 5 people who don't come correct.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through the gamut of people who worked on this, starting with showrunner, producer, Blessing Uzi. I am curious to hear from each of you. Like, what's your most Blessing Uzi thing that happened during this project?
Oh, I was in a
Started
trip.
from you.
It was so instant. I love it.
Come Basakwara again. I want to have so dates. So, I think, but I mean that aside, it's I think I'm the person who's worked with Blessing most as a producer here, and it is that like trust as well, with knowing, with just sort of like knowing that she has her head in the right place. And sometimes we can disagree with like story bits and all of that, and is this working or is this not working? But I think over time it's learning to trust that, oh yeah, even when we disagree, it is not a disagreement that would then mean that the project would end up at a place where I wouldn't like. It's seeing things from her point of view and reaching a compromise, and sometimes I'm able to like argue my way into her seeing things from my own as well. But with this, I'm speaking more about like the writing process, because that was where we started like to forge from. I really liked when I think there was a note that she had for me when I did like the first outline for Something Sweet. It was called Togetherness.
Yeah, it was called Togetherness.
Yeah, and I have a whole story about why I wanted it to be Togetherness. But then I think there's a note where I'm trying to remember it now, where I think the Jidenna bit where Jidenna where there was a conflict with Zara and Jidenna,
yeah.
and then the scene right after that, things were okay. And I think the feedback from her was that it was too soon to like spread it out a bit, and that helped to and like to spread it out a bit where, and what I then did in the scene was like, because we're also careful with like number of pages and all, to be able to keep it as short as possible, was to just do a little thing where Jidenna plays a joke with Leke when he comes to, instead of full on, I've opened the door wide for you. And I think that was good for the story, but it also then elevated the scene. Yeah. So that was one, and then
that's your most Blessing Uzi.
I
feel like you had so.
I have a lot, but this is the one that comes to mind like in the writing process, because I also wanted to say that to get in something sweet wasn't the easiest to adapt.
Yeah.
Because it's a story that spans like years, and it was then about what is the core of this story and how do I get it to fit into a 20-25 page script. And I think was that understand. I think when we're discussing this, and I was having like how do I get this thing to where I want it to be, and it was that freedom to I initially I thought we needed to be as faithful to the source material as possible.
Yeah.
But I think was when I was having a conversation, and then she said to me, no, it's like, go ahead and do
what you want.
go ahead and do what you want, and as long as you know the core of it. And I think that gave me like that was like a breath of fresh air to go on and continue writing, and the script turned out the way it did was like knowing that beforehand. Yeah.
You both had never worked. I think you worked with Blessing Uzi as writers.
Yeah.
But this was your first time working with Blessing Uzi as director. What was that like? Be nice.
I think you should talk about the writing process, but the most Blessing Uzi thing you hear on set is, where's my monitor?
Yeah.
We're losing daylight. So it's those, but I think Blessing has one of the strongest I know for structure. She might not be able to articulate it immediately, but she can tell when a story doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I think that helps you going forward. So, and you have explorative conversations about why it doesn't feel right. And just because I've written with Blessing a lot, so I know that. So when Blessing says something's not feeling right, then you know that
you didn't have to dissect.
Yes.
I mean, I married Blessing during this process. Pretty much we're married, talking at 6 a.m., talking so late. I guess I agree with you on that, which is what doesn't feel right. The thing I most enjoy about Blessing's work, whether it's on this project or elsewhere, is that Blessing is a creative's creative. So, and that's so important when you are a showrunner for something that hasn't quite been done before in this format, in this industry. You need somebody who really understands creativity, who really understands like the way creatives work, who in and of themselves are creative, right? And on top of that, who then gets the idea of constructing universes that work. So for me, that was like the confidence boost. The idea of talking to someone who gets it and who I know would be able to kind of transfer that getting it to all the other people who are working on it. We don't want to expose ourselves and say just how long this process was and how many I think the world building was ridiculously intense.
I feel that's important, like, because I was speaking with Victor before we started. Like, a lot of people count the end result as year one, but like there are a lot of years behind that. And I think understanding and acknowledging that process in a space like this is also important.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I will come to you guys, but I do want to say one of the interesting things about creative freedom is just being able to take a source material. In this case, for those who are not aware, the source material is for years, about 10 years this year, Zikoko has been writing interesting stories called Naira Life, under the columns Naira Life, Sex Life, Love Life, and just exploring the way that people approach love, the way people approach sex, the way people approach money. And we then came and gave all of you an impossible task and said, yeah, these are Nigerians and the way they behave. Can you then pull out elements and create these words that are visual? And so it's now off the page. When something's on the page and when people read, they can, by themselves, start to imagine, oh, this person lives in a house that looks like this, right? This person probably will wear this sort of thing, or this perhaps is the character, are the friends and the families of this person. Well, you've now been given the task to create friends for them, create homes for them, create jobs, families, all of these things that make them actual people. Yeah. So they are no longer in the abstract. And Blessing's job as showrunner is to really then see, how does all of this come together and how do we create something that we're all proud of? So I guess, Victor, over to you for what's your Blessing Uzi moment.
So Blessing has this thing where she simplifies thing, like, you know, when you're like a new director, that's your most ideologist phase. You've watched these very niche films and you've taken these very niche ideas, and then your scripts are longer, your dialogues you have these incredibly long monologues, and you know, all of those things. I'm Blessing is like, cut it. And they're like, no, but this takes away from the thing. I say, she's the more experienced one, and I defer to her a lot in terms of judgments. She has made successful films. I have not. So when she said, I'm like, oh, okay, no, and then I cut it, and then like the next day, I'm like, oh my God, this looks really good. But we had a lot of fight over monologues. I am someone who...
Oh, you love the monologue.
Yeah,
you had so many...
not
introspective, character introspection.
Yeah. And even fearing dialogue, from films like Scenes in a Marriage or A Marriage Story, or Anatomy of a Fall, where they have this 3-minute intense, you know, when you put it on script, that's like 3 pages of just dialogue.
Oh, just person talking. Yeah.
And then Blessing is like, cut it from 3 pages to 1 page. Like, not even cut it by half, like cut it to, and you're like, why? So everything you're saying here, you can say it in just this 1 page, and then you're angry about it. But then think about the kitchen dialogue. The kitchen dialogue, that intense kitchen at the end. It was long.
It was longer.
Much longer.
It was longer. It was so long.
And she will give you the option. Is that you got to get or you go to edit?
I got the notes. I didn't get the notes pre. I didn't get the notes.
You didn't?
No, I didn't get the notes from script actually.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't get the notes.
I think one of the reason
for me. Okay, sorry. For me, my problem with it isn't even about it being like overly long. It's also like the pacing of the scene. So oftentimes if I'm cutting things, it's usually for pacing. And sometimes, it's nice, but like there's something about a film
being
I love like a slow burner. I love like a slowly paced.
Oh, we know.
But it's bad pacing. Yeah. And if the pacing is off, if it's totally off for the scene, then it doesn't work, and then whatever intentions you have for it falls flat. So sometimes it's why I'm often okay. I'm usually okay to like cut things. I don't miss things often.
So I was going to say, I think that's one of the reasons I think Dika as well, because I know Dika used to write prose. So I think one of the reasons is we come from literature education. 3 of us, at least, that I know.
Oh, yes, but she used to write prose.
I will have you know that I have a master's in creative writing.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I went for a film workshop.
I did not.
When we're applying and getting rejections, she got me.
Oh my goodness.
So it's safe to say now that we all come from a literature education, and when you read literature is introspective. Literature has room for that.
And it's prose.
But because there's also like space to write that. And it ties back to what I said earlier about when you're reading text, it's the reader's responsibility to build the universe, right?
Yes.
Versus with film, where I'm looking at you move.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you come to film, it's a different ball game. You're considering so many things. Expression, nuance, because 5 lines of dialogue can be expressed with just a tweak of the and do you want to defer to that, or do you want to have...
And you want to tell so much.
Exactly.
Like, you're telling so much. Why you could just let the actors...
Oh, Blessing loves a show.
Yeah, show don't tell.
Show don't tell. But I'm curious about you, because yours was very steamy.
Oh my goodness.
There's
I'm
almost
not
a
curious about that
blessing
actually, because
Really?
director and actor.
What?
You know, because essentially when you step, because of course I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
I've never acted. So when you step before the camera as an actor, and you know, like the director is at the back, who's directing? Blessing in stands in your stead in this place.
Yes. Well, first of all, whilst I was writing, initially when we just started, when I got my very first feedback, because I had never been like in a writer's room or a writer's anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that I've written was for myself. So this was the first time that I was writing for other people to critique and give feedback. And so my first feedback that I received, I thought, what the fuck? Like when I read it, I was just like, what the fuck?
Very
You know? It's like, and then Blessing was laughing. And I said, no, please, they should just leave me alone. I had all these things to say. And she was like, well, why you, like, what's the pushback for? And interestingly, when we had the conversation, what I found was that I was pushing back for pushing back's sake. I actually loved the feedback. And I wanted to, you know, because again, with having the conversation with Blessing, what I learned was the people who are reading this want the story to be better. Yeah. They want a great story. And you want to write a great story. And so we all want the same things. Yeah. And so let's work together and make it happen. You know? And then I was like, actually, I like that I'm getting feedback. I like that people are reading my work and giving me feedback and thinking, because I'm seeing the things that I didn't see, because you spend so much time with the material that you stop seeing, you know, plot holes, or you stop seeing things that don't work. And when somebody else reads it away from you, they're able to see these things. Anyways, that's number one thing that I just like found. And then with edit. Let me tell you that my first cut
was so long.
I cried. Let me tell you, like I cried. I went to Blessing. I was like, oh my God, I've done rubbish work. I've directed crap. I've written a nothing story, because Dika's.
It was the day we were shooting your final scene, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, because Dika's friend, there was Dika's friend. I can't remember who was talking to you, and I was there, who said you don't make nothing films, or you don't write nothing stories, or something of the sort. I was so inspired by that, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't ever want to make nothing stories. Yeah. And so when I watched my first draft, my first cut, I thought, oh my God, I've made a nothing film. I've made a nothing film. Oh my God, and Blessing was just laughing at me. Yeah. You know, and I was like, how can this person be so calm when I'm literally spiraling? What do you mean? Like, you know, your name is on it too. And she's like, Uzoamaka, welcome. Because I've not met a director
who likes their first
cut. So calm down. We're going to go to edit, and we're going to cut this thing, and you're going to like it at the end of the day. Yeah. And it's also the thing that she does, where as something is going wrong, the first thing that she's thinking about is solutions. Yeah. Like she's thinking about solutions instantly. Like she doesn't even have time to dwell. To break down, dwell, to wonder, oh my God, has this thing happened? No, she's thinking about what you know, how can we? And that is so freaking inspiring to me. Like I love it so much, because I will spiral for like a day, 2 more,
and then you're like, calm down.
Before I then okay, yes, let's start. But she's like very instant, and I really like that about her. And she's brutal with edit. Uzoamaka, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that, because this scene does the thing that this scene does, and we need 30 or 35 minutes. And she's very clear about it. And I'm like, oh my God, And she's like, let's remove it. And so she's like you said, the creative's creative. Yeah. And she puts into consideration that you care about this work. You've worked so hard, and now things are going to be lost that you worked so hard to bring to life. And so she's careful with breaking the news to you and telling you, you know, she's like, okay, you know what, we'll keep the one that you've edited, and then we'll remove this, then you watch it and you will see what I'm talking about. You know, she could have just said, look, this is edits, this is how it works, goodbye. Yeah. You know, and what can I do? You can't do anything, because you know the work has to be done, but she does it that way, and it's just I love it about her.
Also, just for story, I want to give a shout out to Georgia Arnold, the former executive producer of MTV Sugar, who is our story editor.
Yeah.
And brutal.
So I wanted to ask a general question about the editor. Now, I feel I've been thinking about it for some time now that, perhaps after the writer, perhaps the editor might be one of the most important figures, because that person can literally change the story.
So you have Georgia, actually story editor and consultant. Then you have Daniel Rubo, the editor-in-chief of Zikoko, who is very story-led, right? And so when you have a script that is so aspirational, someone is doing one of Victor's long monologue, it's like, yeah, but this person, this person wouldn't say this, or this wouldn't happen, right? So it's really just the ecosystem of film, which then brings me to the other people who are just so important. I think, and I was saying this to a friend yesterday, that the camera is the best thing, one of the best things after the airplane there's ever been invented. And that's because all of these ideas that we have, all of these, I want people to see life a certain way. If there's no film, like film itself, from when it used to be a roll of paper to now where everybody has their phone to put it together, the work wouldn't come out. Like we wouldn't even be shooting this in the first place, right? What was your relationships with your DOPs and cinematographers?
Yeah, so I worked with Eddie Duvier. I think I'm the only one who worked with him.
No,
Yeah,
I am. I worked with him.
On my body.
Yeah, not on my body.
Oh, on this one.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think one of the as usual, like this, it was the same process with like working with like other like DPs. It was first time working with Eddie. We've worked on other things in different capacities. As a colorist, I've worked with him as a colorist, but this is the first time I was working with him as a DP. But also because we have a friendship, it just like felt like working with your buddy, and the process was the same. Sitting down, deciding on the shot list with him, doing it. Also like pulling like shot references from shot deck for individual scenes, especially like the scenes where it needed to be specific to a kind of composition, to a kind of lighting, and so it was just like speaking with him. I think because we're buddies in a sense, it was very collaborative. It was like both of us speaking to each other and saying, "Oh, this is what we're doing." When we wreck it, sometimes you'd plan and then you get to the scene, and now you're not like doing the camera rehearsal and you realize that the shot you have planned doesn't work, or the way you try to like block the scene doesn't work. And so now that the camera is here, like the space where the camera has to move or where the camera is positioned, you'd have to rework what you imagined, and sometimes you communicate it to me.
You worked with Moata.
Yeah, fantastic experience working with someone with that breadth of experience, and craft level. So I think the one scene that Mo really helped out with, I think, is maybe the most important scene, the final scene, and we talked extensively with Mo about how we wanted that final scene to look, and we wanted to be handheld, we wanted to follow our body coming. So it's just more thinking, basically what Dika said, this angle doesn't work.
Location,
why don't you just drop the camera here
and let it do the work?
And then we had this scene. That mosque scene wasn't supposed to be a mosque scene. It was supposed to be an office. And then when we went,
thank God you guys shot it.
I'm so glad. I can't even picture the office right now.
And when we got into the mosque, and we just said, like, nah, we're hitting. And it was moved out, like, we can shoot it here. I was worried about, this is supposed to be a private conversation. Why are we shooting this in a place where?
But he felt so intimate. Like his cinematography made it feel really intimate.
We can make it intimate regardless of the space, and he was the one that found the angle, and that changes that's
it's such a midpoint. Yeah, it's such a midpoint. And the fact that you don't see
like in terms of appearance.
You don't see the cleric. He's almost like he's representing society, but it's like faceless. Right?
He was faceless.
Yeah, but what's yours?
I worked with Mohamed Atta, and I think the one thing that I truly appreciated about him was I'd worked with him several times, but as an actor. And so to work with him now as a cinematographer, director, I truly appreciated him treating me like a peer. It wasn't like he didn't look at it like, oh, with ego, like, what does she know about this work? I was so moved by the way that he had the conversations with me and spoke to me. It was so respectful. When I was discussing the shots with him, he paid attention. Never once did I feel undermined, or anything. And whilst we were shooting, he would always, just come to me and ask, "What are you thinking?" And we had a lot of scenes in the bedroom, and my worry was finding ways to shoot in the bedroom that didn't seem repetitive, so that the audiences don't get tired of seeing this bedroom. And so there was a scene where they were supposed to be on the bed, and I went to him and I said, bed, like, how can we do this? And he said, like, just tell me like any random thing that you had in your mind, like whatever it is. And I said, I had like I saw something on Dika's story, because I find inspiration everywhere. So I saw something on Dika's story, like a hug, two people hugging. And I screenshotted it like a long time ago. And I pulled out the picture and I said, this is how I want them to end. Them hugging in this way. That's the shot I want to end on. And he said, okay. And you don't want that on the bed? And I said, yes. So do you want it on the floor? And I said, actually, yes. Like this floor, but I don't know because it's so tight. So he says, don't worry, we'll move the bed. And that's the scene where she says,
you're not trying anymore. Yeah.
So he's like, we'll move the bed, we'll make it work. And he made it work. And I was just so thankful for that moment. And just like everywhere.
You know what's so interesting about that scene is that you feel, again, Mo's cinematography is just incredible. But you feel like it's a moment where the couple clearly they've reached there's cracks that's forming. And it feels like the marriage is cramped. So the bedroom no longer feels like a safe space.
Yes.
And so in that scene, the way it's shot, you almost feel like you are inside this cramped space and there's no room for us to breathe together with the characters, right? So, yeah, beautiful stuff. Lastly, what's in one sentence? What do you want people to take away from the film you've done?
For mine?
Yeah.
Starting with me. I really would want, I think my film has a love agenda. It's advocating for love. And, I hope the takeaway from this is that, like, like love, when like sometimes like love doesn't always come, in the conventional way that, in the way that society approves of. And if it happens for you in an unconventional way, fight for it in the way they can zero fought for their love. And I hope that's the takeaway from something sweet. Yeah.
Fighters.
I suppose it's that there are many ways to find your voice, but you do have to speak up. So I think whether you shout, whether you whisper, you do have to speak. It doesn't have to be verbal as well, but like whether it's action, but you do have to speak.
Yeah.
We also just wanted to shine light on childbirth and body autonomy, like that conversation, and then how to wield economic disadvantage and advantages, how to navigate it in marriage, and how people discuss these things, like who has the more to say about certain things. Yeah, we just wanted to give it a voice. Like we feel like women should, things that have to do with their body, women should have a stronger voice about it.
I want to add that we were very careful. I feel it's a caveat we have to give everywhere. We're two men who have directed
a female focus,
body autonomy and financial disparity in marriage. And it's that we were trying to be very careful not to overcompensate because we're men talking about a woman, and also not undersell the
realities
of that problem. So we don't necessarily see, this is a terrible man. This is how all men are. So like as Dika said earlier, the nuances.
I mean, he loves his wife.
Yes, exactly.
The way he then goes about that love is a little different than most of us would agree with. But it's clear that he has some love for her. Yes. Yeah. So.
I would say unchaotic love is possible. And to block out the noise and focus on you and your partner. And the things that we see online are not the whole story. Consent is sexy. Find joy in resolving lovingly.
Wow.
T-shirts.
Yeah. That's merch design. I feel like I have nothing to say beyond this, but I do want to thank you guys. It's been almost a year.
Can we say something about working with you as well? Because we didn't get to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
First time I'm working with Anita.
Wow.
All right. So because I've known Anita from Twitter for a while, and then we eventually met in real life. But I really appreciated working with Anita because there was a care with feedback, and I really like that.
Thank you.
And sometimes it wouldn't even come from you directly. It would be from, like, as you said, like Blessing being like the middle person between, and I think I liked that there wasn't it never felt like anyone was trespassing, but like if you needed to communicate to us, you would go through Blessing, and then Blessing would say to us that, oh, this is what Anita said. But I think because also like knowing you, and then like maybe when you're on set and then having like conversations with you as well, I felt like there was a trust with which even with me, with like which both from you and Blessing, there was just like a trust, and trust isn't often in the things that are done or expressed. It's also the things that weren't done, and I think I just like wanted you to know that I felt that trust, and I really appreciate it. So
thank you. I mean, you guys are talented people. It would only make sense to trust you and give you space to do the work. Yeah. Thanks.
I have always felt supported by you, even when
my birthday is not yet time.
prior to this particular project, just online. I've just always felt like you were like a huge supporter of
my, that's how I felt even
myself,
before we met.
My work, yes, and my interview with you as well just felt like it felt so. I care about your work and I support you even from a distance. And working with you on this felt like working with, for lack of a better word, family.
Yeah.
And because creatives are so, I don't know, so
you can say it's emotional. You people are emotional.
protective of their creativity and their work. And having people who understand this and who don't disregard it and who don't carelessly again give feedback is so important. I was able to enjoy, because when I say I enjoyed the writing process, I enjoyed all the feedback. It's not that I enjoy feedback generally, like I just love people giving me feedback. No, it's that this specific one was given beautifully, and I enjoyed taking the feedback. I enjoyed writing. I looked forward to the feedback because of how honestly, how carefully you held our work, and I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, so,
Olamide, are you allowed to say anything? But sure.
So we have worked on projects together in the past. I don't know if you can name it, but
no, we can't.
So I worked together on projects previously, and a couple of years back, and after that, Anita vouched for my talent everywhere after working on that project, and to know that she spoke of me in kind terms in rooms where I could not speak for myself. I think it's always valuable to have somebody like that, and I will always appreciate that.
Wow, thank you guys. Victor is not allowed to say anything. Particularly because Victor and I have been friends forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty much.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There was a time we spent, all of us were in a friend group and we used to shut ourselves off to spend the weekend together. It was just,
wow. Dika, we've not been friendshiping well. We've not been friendshiping well. I love it. Wow.
So I will share the same birthday.
Yeah, we run the same.
Okay, it keeps getting better.
we share the same birthday. Also, I think I would speak for Victor for like on how this has felt, because when we used to do all our weekend things, we'll be like, oh, Victor's going to write something it's going to be something, and I hope I'm able to support it one day.
Oh.
So prophetic.
And it's so funny, like you're not the one who hired him for this.
No, I wasn't. And so like when I saw his name, it was so
She told me about it. Like, so we have this one project, and then your name has been mentioned. I was like, oh my God, is that true? I already knew. But
Okay, actor.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I was like, yeah, I know. And so it was like this self-fulfilling prophecy when we finally got to work together. Like, and it was just natural. Like, oh my God, if 5 years ago you told me that Anita would be the one who was going to finance, and of course, act as an executive producer of something I was going to do, now it was going to be like too good to be true.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
Yeah, I'm going to be on HBO's writer's room one day.
Energy, it's going to happen. Let me say, I pray for people.
Say yes.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Like, let me prophesy
Yes.
into you.
Yes.
We know Uzoamaka's Oscar speech, and it's a lovely one, and it will happen.
gosh.
But thank you guys for coming to hang with me. Thank you for the heart that you brought into this project. It's been almost a year of doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the longest in development things I have done. It's taught me patience, but thank you so much. And if there's anything I'm sure of is you've just all done very incredible work, and I'm not just saying it. So even with the test audiences, it's work that resonates, and I'm eager for everybody to see what you've done. So thank you very much.
Thank you.